Welcome to another People of Penang podcast. Mo Nazrul and Eugene here, and we have a very special guest.
We got a very special guest today. She's an author, actress, artisan, it's quite a long one, curator, choreographer, an expert in all things Peranakan, and not to mention former fairy godmother, Dato Lilian Tong.
Wait, fairy godmother?
Yes.
Expand, please.
Oh, we'll get onto that later.
So that's the Eugene connection. Okay.
No. I read it that she's a fairy godmother.
Oh, really?
You don't mess up, she might turn you to a toad or something.
Well, it will make sense as she's fairy godmother.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
But yeah, so the thing is, I've always known you for quite a long time, and thanks for reminding me that we actually go way back to when me and
you were in your teens.
Yes, I was actually in my teens. Me and your son were in the same band, and before we started the podcast, I would say I would never forget your son because being in that band was very pivotal in me getting into the entertainment industry, and it was just our joyful nature. And I think I've told you once before, like you were literally the cool mom in the band. Because she would drive our drummer Joshua to practices and stuff like that, and she always had this very cool vibe as opposed to everybody's parents. They always looked like they were angry at us, like we're wasting our time.
Cool parent.
Yeah. No, because we were doing rock and roll music. It wasn't like we were doing jazz, and it was the time of. It was a different time. It was a different era. People were more accepting of rock and roll, but back then it was like, oh, what is this young punk rockers, wasting their lives.
And the clothes and the hair.
And we did the full Monty. We had the ripped clothing and everything. And
the pants that were like very low down.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm trying to forget that.
Yeah, before we go on further, to our audience, do you notice something different today? We're actually well dressed.
Well, see, because some of the podcasts you were saying we wear hats and stuff like that, and I love it.
Yeah, we adapt.
Yes. Yeah, we evolve. I think it's really great because we can now delve into the various different things. Because one of the things that I enjoy.
And a shout out to Peter here for making this episode happen. Thanks.
I forgot. Yes. Thank you, Peter.
Yes.
Thank you. Because one of the things I really enjoyed about what you do is, regardless of what anybody says, and regardless of anyone's opinion, I would always firmly believe that you're literally the only one who's promoting the Peranakan culture, in my eyes. You have a team, there are different people, but you are consistently, because people don't realize that culture is a very fragile thing. And we have a lot of things that are constantly disappearing under our noses, like very old crafts, nobody to take over it. But you're like constantly doing events, and I remember meeting you again when we were doing the Rong. You helped revive the Ronggeng with, I can't remember the professor's name.
Professor Anis.
Yes, Professor Anis. Yeah. So it's a very beautiful thing that you're doing, and maybe if you could, I don't know, let us know.
So he's a Ronggeng dancer.
Oh yeah.
Ronggeng Rhapsody.
Ronggeng rock.
Allegedly so. Yeah. Sorry, I've missed a couple of performances. I've just been very busy with it.
And actually, not so much of promoting, like actively or deliberate sitting down to think I would promote it. I think I think the culture, arts, and heritage of like the Baba Nyonya should be a lifestyle, and then it will go on. If someone like actively promotes it, the moment the promotion stops, everything dies down. So it has to be lived up. Wow. Yeah, so that's why I thought when I do things like our events, it wasn't like saying, hey, Ronggeng would be revived and let's promote it. No, it was like, hey, that's part of us. Let's just party.
Yeah. I really love the vibe of the Ronggeng troupe, and I do miss it because it doesn't feel. Some would think the events that we are a part of were a bit more formal, but actually we're always laughing, we're always making mistakes. Even during performances, we're looking at each other like, you got that wrong, didn't you?
Like, what? Why are you there?
Yeah. No, that happens a lot. And I remember when we first learned it, the Professor Anis was saying, with Ronggeng, it's very, or Peranakan Baba Nyonya Ronggeng is very natural, as opposed to like Malay Ronggeng, and it's a completely different animal. Mm-hmm. So even if you've made a mistake, you just make it your own style. And that's what I love about it. And and the Peranakan culture. and you keeping it alive. So what inspired you in the first place to get into it? That's what I want to know.
So firstly, I think I grew up in a Baba Nyonya home, which is because my father Chin Choi, which means that although he is not Baba Nyonya, he married into a Nyonya family because my mother was the only daughter. And they want to keep her in her luxury and comfort. So then I grew up in my Baba Nyonya home, grandmother's side, maternal side. And then, we were just doing the normal things like everyday living. And one day I was at Pinang Peranakan Mansion doing Amazing Race.
Ooh.
That was like 20 years ago, I think.
Were you in the show itself, competing in the?
No, not competing.
I don't know. I mean, like, I thought maybe
you have to find out.
Welcome to Penang. And and then later I did Little Nyonya in Pinang Peranakan Mansion. So my boss said, I want that lady because she can cakap and she's wearing her own clothes. I didn't use the Little Nonya's wardrobe. And so I went to work. And that time, the museum was just starting out. So there was a lot of free time. And I read everything I could lay my hands on.
Wow.
And, it was just after my kids went off to college and I was so free. I had all the time and money to myself.
Oh, wow. That is very interesting. Whose phone is that?
Mine.
Oh, is it?
Can pick up.
No, actually, no. We can even include this as a blooper if you like. I mean, like, this is interesting and natural itself. We're okay with mistakes.
Yes.
No, it's completely understandable because you're involved in so many things. You're helping out the newly formed, was it the Penang Jawi Peranakan Heritage Society? This coming, this podcast is probably going to be released after the 27th of July, but on the 27th of July, you're helping them with the performance coming in with the Wrong Gang. You're running the mansion, in the programs and various other things. So your phone ringing nonstop was it. You're quite wanted. I've noticed that you're always like, but
about the Peranakan Mansion, Lilian, I got to make a confession on air. Many, many years ago, when it first started, a German friend with me, we boldly just strolled into it as if it's our birthright. Nobody stopped us. And when we went back, we was like, we went to Peranakan Mansion. Yeah, it's free. Then people say, it's not free.
Oh my God. Oh, you walked through the tent.
That's where confidence gets
very
you.
confident. We're basically con men. Confidence.
Con man.
Well, I guess it's true. Like, if you look like you fit in, right? Because you would do that if you have like practice. I mean,
sorry, we'll go again and with
and try it again.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
But nobody stopped it at all. Wow.
We were like,
Oh, actually, but the thing is that what I love about the mansion, right? Because it was one of my first introductions to Penang history, and this was even before Penang Hidden Gems was formed. So when I moved back to Penang, and mind you, even when we were living in Penang before, I never delved into the history, but it was just a visit to the Peranakan Mansion that suddenly opened my eyes that there was something more to Penang than food and malls. And maybe, what do you think about that? Where like young people like me, right, are now just finding out like, there's more to it than...
So that's why with young people, I think there is just like, you cannot just want to promote and push it to them. It has to be, like I said, the lifestyle, and to interest them, like even the place visually and the sense, the space, how it's used. And especially for young girls, when they join my dance troupe and they dress up, they can be enculturated to want to go back to who they are. And I think that knowing who you are is very important. And one very good example is when I was filming Anna and the King, I was a Siamese girl, market girl. And I behaved like one.
You were in the what?
Anna and the King.
You were in Anna the King?
Yeah.
Chow Yun-fat, Jodie Foster.
No, what? I had no idea. What?
So I was this Siamese market girl, and I sat next to the drain, plucking out my bun and
Oh my
eating
God, I'm going to have to watch the movie again.
We have open sewers in Penang, so it's totally normal.
But
I
then,
literally didn't know.
Actually, the food tastes better if the hawker store is...
I smell it. And then when I was acting in Little Nyonya and Road to Dawn, We were nonyas. And we had all the older senior nonyas with us. And then we had our makeup at 5 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock we had to stand in our position at Lone Pine, I remember. So by 7 p.m. or even midday, we were wilting. And the old nonyas, and we were trying to lean against the tree or maybe squat down. Then she said, hey, tak seronok lah, stand up.
Oh, that's
so we had
authentic.
to stand. And then when people are going for the food, they say, don't go and rush. If no food, never mind. Then I realized, when you are a nonya, you really behaved differently. So then, the identity is so important, who you are. If you think you are a market girl, then you behave like one. But if you're a nonya, suddenly the world is different. Which is why then I started writing my books, because at one point I had to go for a serious operation, and I thought, it's cancer, I'm going to die, and my poor daughter will never know who she is. She will grow up thinking she's Chinese. So then I started to write so that she will know who she is, and I think knowing who you are, all your worldview will then come from that angle. Yeah.
What was your first book?
You know, my daughter's name is Jewel, so you know what I love.
Jewelry.
So my first book is on jewelry.
We'll get to the books later.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so back at Pinang Peranakan Mansion, when I worked there, I really enjoyed myself, because every day I get to dress up in sarong kebaya. I mean, like in Penang, if you today you go around in sarong kebaya, people give you the looks, which is why I never put a flower on my hair until I came up here. You know. And a lot of people think that, it's not possible to go on a bus or drive a car in sarong kebaya. But anyway, I get to dress up in sarong kebaya. No need for an excuse, no need for a party. And go to work in a mansion that is like my stage, my home. And I don't even have to pay for this house, this mansion. And I get to go there every day. So it was like, I was very thankful. I was very grateful to God that at the age where my kids have gone away, instead of studying law and trying to become a lawyer at the age of 40 plus, I became a nonya.
Yeah,
I found my true calling. And it was easy because it was something that, a skill that I don't need to relearn, because, when you are a fairy godmother for years, you have forgotten you're not employable anymore in real life. So when I get to be a museum director, it was everything at my fingertips. It was just my life. I grew up like that. So I knew everything. So it was so much easy. Never have to relearn anything, any new skills.
So it wasn't superficial. It was you 100%, because you are a nyonya.
And then I go in as the matriarch. Every day.
So this is the real you, right? It's not a character.
Yeah. And the real me is always playing me.
I can vouch for that. She's always been that way. Hence the
Playing
cool mom.
make-believe.
Hence the cool mom. But see, the thing is, so for me as well, I do have Peranakan blood in me from the Malacca side, right? And I just wanted to ask something. This is something I'm very curious about, because I've noticed that the Peranakans of Malacca view the Peranakans of Singapore and Penang very differently. Actually, do you guys know why that is? Like,
She's the expert.
Sometimes.
You're also the historian. I thought maybe,
When I go to Malacca, the people on the street will say, you're from Penang. Penang, Nodia. We are the true blue.
That's what I mean.
And then I said, it's all right. I'm not true blue. I'm a shade of indigo.
That's true. I mean, because the Malaccan side, they tend to have already integrated to they've already married Malays and down the bloodline, so they are fair, but sort of like have an undertone of brown, as opposed to like the Nyonyas in Penang. You kind of had that sort of like mainland or the Orient glow. I don't know what do you call it?
We still have
Beige?
some dusky skin.
Yeah.
Penang, we are mainly like Thai, Burmese, Indonesian. Like my grandfather came from Medan, and my great-great-great-grandmother was a Thai.
Oh, so you're really Peranakan.
It's a little known fact that actually, Thaksin the First was actually of Teochew descent.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They even speak Teochew in the Thai courts. They're totally integrated.
That's funny though, because when we were doing that tour with Hajar, one of the historian slash tour guide was telling us a very interesting story. The switch between Siam and Thailand, right? So Siam was the warring kingdom and enslaving people around and invading Kedah and then...
And queens who rode on elephant to war.
Yeah,
To be fair,
yes.
all of the kingdoms in those times did those things.
Actually, yeah, we could touch on that because a lot of the culture on the Southeast Asian side were very matriarchal.
But I think for the Peranakans, there's more from the Thailand side. That's why the
so
culture
apparently
is
there was
different. Phuket,
there was a switch. It's just like at one point the northern side of the Thailand or Siam at the time, who were of mixed descent, as in like some of them had ethnically Chinese blood and so on and so forth. They kind of sort of slowly, I want to say, usurp is not the right term, but they sort of took over, and then they rebranded themselves. I'm using a modern term. They rebranded themselves to Thailand.
Thaksin, the Chinese usurper to the throne.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, I wanted to do it with as much respect, because I didn't want to say that he is one, but it's like...
No, it's not. We are not saying it is. We just read the history.
I mean, history is history, but yes, so there was a takeover, hence why there was a switch between Siam and Thailand, and then Thailand went through this whole rebranding of being nice. But the one thing that I found very interesting is that we touched on the queens on the elephants. That the Peranakan culture is also a very matriarchal thing because my mom's side is very matriarchal.
Tiger moms.
Yes.
Oh, lioness.
But amazingly gorgeous.
They are full-time, home managers. They have a whole, group of servants and all that to rule over.
This, if you could ever think of a positive feminism, I mean, not the neo weird stuff that we have today, but like the old one, like the suffragettes and fighting. That literally is the Peranakan Baba Nyonya culture.
My grandma was a Peranakan too. She passed away 102 years ago, and she relishes managing the house and ordering around. She used to live in a mansion, in a plantation and all that. Yeah, that's... And my mother says that cooking Baba Nyonya food, especially my wife, is like, there's so much details, that's so fine.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work, and that I respect because it's sort of something that has existed till now. I mean, because there are those who said a lot of the Peranakan are influenced by like Malay culture, and yes, it is. But also at the same time, there's a certain spin on it, that and also there's a preservation element to it, because sometimes nowadays, I'm not saying that the Malay style is bad. I meant like the people who execute it. They treat it like a roadside stall thing, as opposed to my family and other Nyonya families or Peranakan families in general. Even the Sri Muka, you have to cut it in a diamond or something, right?
A woman's persona or how she's viewed is shown in the how she cooks, how she cuts her vegetables, how she sew her sulam, how she beats. And then, like those days, manners is very important. Because with limited education, what is the value of a girl? So then it's a handiwork. So, for Nonyas, like say sometimes when they're about to get married, there's a matchmaker comes to the house. She may, the family servant may on some pretext say, "Oh, bring out all your kasut and your baju, your sulam, and show this auntie, the matchmaker, how good you are." And so she brings it out, and the wise matchmaker or woman will then, or future mother-in-law, will probably admire, "Oh, beautiful," but they will turn it over and see the back of the sulam. If it's all crisscross and knotted and messed up, it means that the girl is just presenting a facade, a nice picture of who she is, but she is really all messed up.
Wow.
For those of you who are just listening in, this embroidery here is very intricate.
Yeah.
Just like the food and the decorations.
Kabaya is going for UNESCO listing as an intangible cultural heritage. So the submission was done in year 2022. They came to us for interviews as panelists and to write up. So actually they wanted Kabaya pendek. So we say no. Kabaya is a broader term. It encompasses, like the Malays, the Thais, the Brunei, Indonesian. there is a wide range. So kebaya is a broader term. And then, by this December, we should find out
Wow.
whether we got the listing.
Have
And I'm
you
sure we
read in the news before about a kebaya activist? There you go. That's her.
Oh,
That's,
yeah, I forgot to mention that. Kebaya.
she has a long list, so we can't say as we go along.
So what is it like being a kebaya activist? Like, what
I think it's the most only kebaya activist.
you can do anything in a kebaya because the excuse is that, we can't cook in a kebaya. No, I think it's once you get into it, you don't feel restricted. Yeah. So I have at one time the editor of Where To magazine asked me on Chinese New Year to go to Langkawi for a luxury tour. You get to ride, you get to go on a cruise, you get to fly on a helicopter, and all the works. So I thought I wanted to shift my angle of writing because 20 other writers are going to a Nyonya in Langkawi. So I I had my manicure done, do up my hair, and I went. And of course, I knew that he picked me because nobody wanted to do it during Chinese New Year. But my kids are not here, so I can't. And then I went, and he have seemed to miss out that it was a luxury adventure tour. So here I go. I packed all my kebayas, my sarong kebayas, and when we were there, we were supposed to do, like climbing up trees, up to the treetop level, and then you go across from tree to tree. And then there was a chicken exit, which I took. So I did it in sarong kebaya.
Oh my God! I was just
ATV, all-terrain vehicles. So we're going up and down, and this big broad thing. I did it in sarong kebaya. I didn't have any more other clothes. And the final one, which I'm so proud of, was I went parasailing in a sarong kebaya. So in a kebaya, you can do all things.
I can imagine that. I wish I could see that for my own, because that is quite a sight. You have a little iconic Nyonya dari jauh, just flying through the air.
I'm just curious, is this hand wash or something? This?
Oh yeah.
No,
how do you take care of
I'm
it?
lazy. I just previously my mom, she would hand wash, starch it. So I just put it in a bag and throw it into the machine.
Oh, so it's washable.
And then you click like fragile material. Yeah, I do that for my suits as well, which I don't wear a lot nowadays. But when it comes to the kebaya in general, so for me, I know from my family's history that it was very. See, people don't see the value of the craft until war happens and you have to sell stuff. And apparently a lot of my family members who were Nyonyas had to sell a lot of the kebayas that were handmade. And it was actually sold at a premium because it was really valued at that point in time. It was a symbol of affluence. And I think, again, matriarchal, like a lot of the things were passed down from mother to daughter, from everything from porcelains, kebayas, shoes, pearls, jewels. So when the war happened and everything was being rationed, that was a really huge blow to some of the elders in my family because it really was them selling their identity. And it was a tough time. It was World War II. The Japanese were here.
Which brings us back to why it's important for ladies to have jewelry. So, you see, our kebaya is not put together with hooks and pin and buttons and zips. All is like the sarong is folded, and then you have to hold it up with a tali pinang or kotor. And then your kebaya, you have to put it together with karosang. So the ladies will tell their husbands, in order to keep me modest and decent, you have to buy me jewelry. And so everything is put together by jewelry. Even our old buttons, the old tesa, the short white blouse that we wear at home, all the buttons are gold. And so when you change your clothes, you just take out the buttons and put them onto the fresh, clean white tesa. So the story goes that for the Nonyas, when they get the husbands to make them to pay for their long kotor, which is tali pinang, then they tell him, you need to make it a bit longer because when I have give birth to children, I'll grow a little round and prosperous and voluptuous. And so I need more length. And he does that. Now, the other thing is that when the Nonias, the bibis of the Nonias, they will play Cheki at home. They usually play women among women, not with men. It's like my grandmother said, tak seronok. Her favorite word. Everything I do is tak seronok. That's how I became naughtynonia@gmail.com. Tak seronok.
Oh, we got to get to that. We all like origins. How do you get that name?
So, when they play Cheki game and they lose, remember they don't work. So husband just gives them some money to run the household. So they will actually take off one little panel of the tali pinggang and pay it off. And then if she plays badly like me, the the tali pinggang will get shorter and shorter. And that's where you get the word or the saying, tighten your belt.
Oh, wow.
It came from the Nonias.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Although I wouldn't say they have no work. It is actually their house manager. Some of the houses, like 30, 40 people. It's a major undertaking.
And these are mansions. It's not like your small little apartment. This is mansion.
I think it's like these modern day family offices. Those rich people, they have their family offices.
It's like how the job scope of a butler is not a servant. It's like your own personal CEO. You know.
House CEO.
Yeah, house CEO. And the thing is, back in the day, the house was not just a place to live in. It was also the center of the family's business, per se.
I mean, the children are the future managers.
Oh, that too.
That's like a training center.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, like I said, they were playing Cheki. So the old Nonias, or after they've got children and all that, they seem to have the license to vices, like smoking churut. My grandmother does. And playing Cheki. But when you're younger, you're not supposed to. Like, it's bad, young girls shouldn't be playing Cheki. But I don't know, when they're old, they feel that they have the right to do that. They have the license to do it, yeah.
Can you describe a little bit what game is that for those who...
Oh, it's a card game, like 14 cards. With the group I'm playing, 14 cards. So you just match like 3 with the same design, and yeah. And then
it's basically Mahjong but cards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
All the thin strips, yeah.
Wow.
So actually, I also think the Nonias started the first casino in Malaya. and of course, there are stories, which is true, like my mother-in-law and her sisters got hauled up by the police and taken to lock up because they were playing card games, but with money.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, but the thing is, back then it was pretty common. I mean, I don't think many people knew that even Piramli had a mahjong.
It's an up and down. The British at certain times were obsessed with anti-gambling. Sometimes they are not.
They were kind of flip-floppy. Because I was saying, even a notable person like P. Ramlee had a restaurant where you can play mahjong in. And that was what kept him afloat when he came back and his career just didn't do well towards the end of his life. So once upon a time, we were okay. We were cool, actually. Malaysia was cool, We were fun. And honestly, for me, I always wish I could go back to the yesteryears. I mean, minus the malaria, minus the lack of toilet infrastructure, air conditioning, hot showers. You know what? If we could have that in modern times, that'd be great.
It wasn't very warm.
Oh, I heard that as well. Yeah.
When I grew up as a kid, I remember my morning duty was to wipe the dew off my grandfather's car. So, but do you realize now we do not have dew?
Yeah, we don't.
But my daughter, Jewel, who works in a little town in Kapit, that when she was there were no roads in. So she takes 3-hour river boat. When I went and visited her, there was dew in the morning. And it's just like, for me, it's like, oh, there's dew on your windscreen.
Wow.
It's not that long ago. If you see, if Tanjung Bunga, the Lembah Permai, right, Will of Tempe, when I was growing up, sometimes there'll be some mist in the mornings. It's because now every house, used to have a fruit tree, even the terrace houses, even the tamans from the 60s. But now, the cars have taken over, so it's just urban heat. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Wow. A modernization.
Advice for you guys if you're married, To look good, rich and successful. Dress your wife in diamonds. You know those days the nonyas, they all have a lot of jewelry on them. Well, actually, it's the husband's success promo advertisement poster girl. So when the girl has got all this jewelry on, then everyone knows that her husband is a successful man. So that's a good advice to all the men there and husbands.
Although there's a catch
Dress your
22
wife in
situation.
diamonds.
What's
It's a catch 22 situation. You got to be rich to begin with. Unless you use fake diamonds.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you would need to be sort of reasonably wealthy to attract the nyonya, because they were. How do I explain this? Like, this is just purely from what I know from my own family history. They really were the most sought after women in town, because you're right, they were the best dressed, they were the most educated of the education available for that time.
Actually, that's what Dr. Neil Kaur wrote in and mentioned in one of the Peranakan conventions, that especially the Penang nonyas were very sought after.
Yeah, I heard that too, and that actually is something that we should care to remember, because a lot of these are the different colors of the culture that is slowly fading away. But also, I really want to delve into your movie experience. What was that like for Anna and the King and Little Nyonya?
Okay.
And what was it?
And I think it's related to how she became the curator. Can you tell us the story?
Oh my!
Yes.
Eugene, you just love to tease, because you did the same thing with David and was Jason? Sorry,
You can't make this up. Our guests have interesting stories. Tell us how the movie led to you becoming the curator.
Okay, so like I said, because I dressed in my mother's kabaya, I didn't want to wear the wardrobe, and I was giving them showing them how to put on croissant. People think that just putting on croissant, but you don't realize how many people actually message me and say, Lilian, how do I put on a croissant? And then I really dislike it when there's a big dinner party and then they come, Lilian, help me put on my croissant. So that's a
So which movie
strategy.
was this?
Okay, wait. So coming back to Little Nyonya.
okay.
Now she's doing it to you, Eugene.
Okay.
Remember, I am a Nyonya, so people in my generation, we do not speak Mandarin or read Mandarin. So on that day of the filming, this is a story. We were told that this was this lady's birthday, and we had wine glasses, and we went around like, oh, happy, 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 oh, happy. And then they told us to sit down and listen to this man talking. And so in my mind is same birthday party, same clothes. We're just sitting down listening him tell a story. So I was in my mood like, oh. And then the director was filming and he panned and came to me and said, stop! You there! Why are you grinning and smiling? And he says, do you know this man is telling the story of Sampek and Thai? The butterfly lovers, they are dying. They killed.
And then you are smiling?
Yeah, because I don't understand Mandarin. Okay, so sad. Okay, very sad. Then there was a wedding scene, and they told me next day you come, and they were telling the newlyweds tomorrow we will take you. You will go on a honeymoon and all that. Okay. Then she says tomorrow you come. Report at Yano Hotel. Okay. Then she says just remember this line. How 1-1. Okay, I can manage that. How 1-1. Then I say, oh, they're going on a honeymoon, which means I may be a tour guide or at a hotel. And I will sell them some tickets and I'll say, how 1-1, go and enjoy yourself and play. So when I went there, I knew I was special because they treated me to a nice cheongsam, rings on every finger, bracelets up to here, and diamond pins on all over my head. And then they said, they gave me a little girl and pushed her to me and say, you will slap her, pinch her, and push her, and go to Zhang's room and knock. And when Zhang opens the door, you will push her in and say, how 1-1.
Oh no! I just realized what your role was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Mama said. Oh my god.
Hey, now,
And you didn't even know.
I didn't even know. I was like, no, do I look like that? Oh my God. Then the girl's mom says, if I can allow my daughter to do this, what's it with you? Like, why can't you do that?
Oh, wow.
And then from Mama San, I've now progressed to Mama Mafia. Because for the 100 years, there was like a few years back, they gathered all the 100-year-old clans. That means clans in Penang that are over a century old. You come for a meeting because they're going to produce a book, and the government, I think at that time was during elections. Yeah.
Oh.
So they got us all together. And so I had to represent the temple of Chung Keng Kui, who is the head of the Hai San Secret Society.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So I'm
Kapitan Chung Keng Kui.
so I'm sitting with all these clan houses who were originally, some of them, secret societies. Like the Gihins, they turned into Meng Eng Su.
Yeah.
When the British banned secret societies. So they came out, resurfaced as a cultural society.
Yeah, I remember that period.
So we were all there, and I suppose the mafia bosses. And I'm the only lady who can't understand Mandarin and wearing sarong kebaya, and a lady. So they actually call me the Mama Mafia.
So was this a movie, or was this?
And you know what? When there was this Facebook thing that you play a game, and then they say, "What would have been your best profession?" And it came out Mafia boss.
How is it?
Oh, don't mess with her.
Yeah, and then the second was bank manager, and my treasurer from my association said no.
Bank manager and mafia
No,
boss.
no.
What? I'm starting to see similarities here with the two professions, but I definitely see. And the thing is, I don't mean it in a way where you look scary. You don't. I think it's because, honestly, for me, you are so elegant, right? And when you want a female antagonist or protagonist who is a leader of a gang or society,
and I want
you know,
the guy killed.
Interestingly, the word mafia actually is from mafia, which means my daughter. Yeah, that's the origin of the Italian word.
See, this is something I came across recently, and it's very interesting. And I'm probably quoting it wrong if I can find it later, but I read that, or I was told that a lot of the modern day structure of capitalism relies on women. Because women are because our economy cannot survive if there are no consumers, and women in general, even to the point where it's a stereotype. Oh, women, bring her to the mall. The guy sits down and the woman does all the shopping. As funny and as much as we want to make fun of it, women play a huge role in the functioning of capitalism in general.
It drives the economy.
It drives the economy. No, it's true, because if people stop spending, stop buying things, it just messes up the whole ecosystem. And again, I'm probably explaining this wrong. I'm trying as best as I could. It's a complex topic. But the gist of it was, throughout a lot of modern history, women were the driving force. And it was because even way, way back, the men went hunting and went to wars and didn't come back, or did come back, the haze. And the women were the ones who defended the cities, defended the household, and managed the food supply if there was ever a siege and the men were out at war. So since ever, women actually drove the society. And not only that, they also gave birth to new human beings.
Yes. And you see, they hold a lot of sway that we generally forget, because the women are important in the education of children.
Yeah.
Oh,
The next generation. I mean, imagine you have dads, single dads. You're going to have a terrible society. Well, a society, let's say in worst case, the men go out to war and die, which it happens. The women are back home. The next generation will be nurtured.
Yeah.
So educated women are really important for an educated society. And that's what the Baba Nyonya women did, was they make sure that the next generation are very educated.
Oh, I agree with that.
That brings it back to just this week. Someone mentioned to me this Kway Teow Thang, this young girl is so smart. She didn't want to go to university. She took over her father's business because Kway Teow Thang is a booming business.
Oh, yeah.
Even in times of poor economy, you will still come. The poor will come from Kway Teow Thang. The wealthier will enjoy Kway Teow Thang. And then I thought, so she's going to earn a lot of money selling Kway Teow Thang, but she missed out on her education. What is going to become of her children? So that was I felt that maybe she could have gone and studied to be an engineer and then come out and sell kway teow teng, so that the mother is educated. And I think that's important. Can you imagine a mother who never went to school raising the kids?
You're absolutely right. Because in the same topic, it actually did some case studies where when women are suppressed in certain countries, you can see economically, the country suffers economically.
Don't underestimate the matriarch. You know, even you see tough guys, mafia bosses, and when mama talks, they're like...
Absolutely. No, see, the thing is,
the sway over there.
what I've noticed as well, you know, I mean, being a man myself, you know, we would serve a matriarch more wholeheartedly than a patriarch, because a patriarch may be our boss, but there's sort of like, we guys have this alpha male thing, you know, where it's like, oh, you're my boss, but one day I will. You know, like Zeus killed his father and his father killed, you know, Kronos and whatnot. That is the male psyche. I don't know, for whatever reason, we have a hierarchy. And if there's a male, alpha male at the top, we want to take the alpha male down because we want to be the
But
alpha
ultimately, don't underestimate the power of mothers. You know, when your mother talks,
mothers,
special
right?
powers. Yeah.
We don't want to take over. We want to protect. Like the most gangster member of the community would always have a soft spot for his mom. She will be the only one that can whack him and he will never whack back.
You notice the greatest insults in most languages involve mothers.
Exactly.
Because you don't mess with someone's mother.
Yeah. It's not even the dad. Like, the dad's like, okay, so what? You know, so what'd you say about my mom? You know.
Yeah.
So that's why when I told my son that when you go for you're looking for a wife, a bride, never go for a hot girl, because you don't want her to be raising your kids to go to discos and dancing. But like Lee Kuan Yew says, when he married his wife, he was interviewed once, he married his wife, he says, when I look at this woman, I picture how she is going to be the mother of my children. So when you are looking for a wife, you are looking at someone who is going to be the mother of your children. And how is she going to train your children? So that's how I told my son to pick your wife as the mother of your children.
I feel like this is like really valuable lessons, not just on a historical, cultural perspective, but like but that's also another thing as well, because a lot of cultural aspects, the women are always the one who tend to pass it down and preserve it. I mean, I've mentioned the Peranakan, but it's also for the Malay culture. And, you know, it was just so funny because that is very much an Asian thing. You know, I idolize the mother as opposed to like to the West, they tend to idolize the father. And because I'm not exactly sure why. I would like to say war and conquest, but we have our fair share of war and conquest as well. I think it's just different attitudes towards everything. I mean, like even right now, you know, the Peranakan culture through your work and your activism, you know, you are a mother yourself and you are preserving it for future generations to enjoy. I have seen many, like the Jocelyn maker, you know, he was a father. I was very saddened by that because although I didn't know him as a human being as well as I should, because we've never had the opportunity to meet, but I felt sad because nobody in his family wanted to take over. But I've always noticed that when it came to mothers and daughters always tend to be willing to pick up the slack of legacy. You know, as opposed to sons, we just want to pave our own way. Speaking for myself as well, no, I definitely wanted to pave my own way. It's just something about being a guy. You just want to be the lone wolf, and I don't know about you, Eugene, but I'm just saying for myself.
Maybe you can share with us a little bit. What does it take to actually run a museum? What does a curator do?
Good question, actually.
Okay, so I do a lot of reading, and even when new shipment of things comes in, I pick them up and try to encourage the display, but actually the owner has his own way. So that's good. Like he has got a good artistic touch. So that's it. But on the other side, I find that it's important to archive and document things before my generation passes away. Because for me, I think my generation, we saw our grandmothers berkeman and doing the Nyonya stuff at home, cooking. But today, like I don't have time to be cooking Nyonya food for every
It's
meal.
very liberating.
So these little things, and the pantang larang, we do away with it. And like sintok, which is mandi bunga, yeah, we do it. I wrote it in my book. And asap kemenyan, to chase away all the evil spirits behind your doors, under your bed, and everywhere they're hiding. So when I wrote these books, the Malays and the Indians will say, hey, but this is very Hindu and Malay, the old folk Malay Islam doing. But that's what we are. So I write this because I think that the new generation will forget. Like my grandchildren or even my daughter, she's not going to see me dressed in sarong kebaya every day, and doing all the Nyonya things like the prayers, because now I'm a Christian, how you lay out the altar table and the food you cook. So this needs to be documented. So I'm more on documentation.
It's really, Peranakan culture is really mashed up. Like my grand uncle, right? He's a cocoa planter, and then you know what he does as a side job?
What?
He's a full-fledged Malay bomo. He just changed it to character. With
What?
his kemenyan and all his jumpies.
Serious?
Yes. It's like a two different guy, like
Wow.
living in one body. It's very interesting.
Now I'm curious. How does one become a bomo? Like, where was the job application? Is it like a 6-month training course?
I think you're chosen.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works. You're chosen.
Oh, you're chosen.
You're chosen.
Oh, so
By
it's
a particular tok.
Yeah.
wow.
Like Dato Putih. My mother goes to Dato Putih, Dato Bisu.
Wow. I've never known anybody who has a relative who's a bomo. But like, that's.
But then again, like, the Baba Nonyas, we pray to, like, my mom prays to everything, like coconut trees and hills. Some spirits living there. I don't know how she knows, but
It's a
yeah,
mashup of the Chinese ancestor worship and also Malay keramat. It's a mashup.
And she goes for the Indian gods and unknown gods. So I think she was just keeping herself safe, like I'm friends with everyone. Yeah. So pray to everyone.
Oh, it's a very common thing in. My mom does that too. You place all your bets everywhere.
Yeah. Members of my family too. Some, but some have drifted more towards the Malay side, and when they do, they've accepted Islam as more of their priority as opposed to those who. My family's complicated. It's huge and very complicated, but we have different kinds. But the thing is, I think it also has something to do with how the Peranakans got here. For example, from my side, which is the Malacca side, we came off Admiral Cheng Ho off his ships for the purpose of opening up the ports and being the main ambassadors for ancient China and the Malacca Empire. And when it came to Penang, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the historian. If I ever get this wrong, you can correct me. But they were the first that were attracted by Francis Light to come here from Phuket when Phuket was just, they were just really hating foreigners. And
for record, I'm not a historian.
But I think
you researched it. Sorry.
The Chinese were here before Francis Light.
Yeah.
Because we know the Kuan Yin thing was already in existence.
Yes.
Yeah, but before the British king.
That was actually in Malacca. It's been stated a long time, but it's beyond doubt the evidence. It was only 1800s. Penang it's stated in many articles, but it's not. It's a typo. Actually, it was referring to the one in Malacca. Which
it makes sense. Because a lot of our Asian culture, we valued the rivers because whenever you get raided by pirates, you can go to the river and then resettle.
Although the Jaws, the censor is in Tanjung Tokong is from the 1700s, but it was most likely brought over.
But I do believe that because in my research and travels, whenever I did these tours to figure out what the history of our place is, yes, we have this mainstream narrative, but I'm for the idea of discovering more because there is a narrative that goes beyond 5,000, 6,000 years. Even our trade route, and I've mentioned this many times in our podcast, that it goes maybe even 10s to 14,000 years. Like, isn't like those who are now in modern day India, now what was once Majapahit, but like different aspects.
I think we can set the record straight. I think the confusion was obviously the Chinese were already here on the mainland side, like in Kuala Penang.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, Kole Huan, Chewa, he wouldn't come over just after 3 days. But they all knew each other before that at Kuala Berang, Kuala Muda and all that. So that is what it meant, but the island itself,
Oh yeah.
okay, as far as historical
It was a
records we
freshwater.
know,
Yeah,
there
okay.
was a fishing village at Tanjung Tokong by Malays. Light said it himself in his diary. But beyond that, based on all the earlier visitors, yes, there were earlier visitors. It's mostly just pockets of fishing villages.
Yeah,
But the Chinese were on the other side,
That's true.
trading for a long time. But you got to remember, the Chinese also at that time had an entire royal line in Thailand. They've been around a long time. So we tend not, in a way, what is said about Penang history starting from 1786 is wrong. It is wrong because it actually started earlier, and we get a tunnel vision if we just say that the British history starts. These guys were already on the mainland trading for centuries, probably.
Yeah. You can even see it in the porcelain that's available.
So when means Chinese came before light, actually it was on the mainland side. Yeah. So that's just as far as records show.
Yeah. But it's pretty interesting as well. Like, I think it's really great that we have people like you and the various different professors, like Professor Mokhtar, who's doing a lot of the ancient sites in Kedah. And the I can't remember his name, the one that found the Buddha statue in Kedah, the oldest, what was his name? He's in our circle. Specky guy. I mean, you're a specky guy, but But anyways, I apologize.
To all specky guys.
To all specky guys. but what I'm trying to say is, I find it really beautiful because for me, this is something very important to me because, and I didn't really tell a lot of people that I left the United States just around the time that 9/11 happened, right? And my family is, a devout Muslim. So basically we became targets. So imagine living in a place your whole life and then suddenly you're the outsider. You're not wanted here because your name has a Muhammad, right? So I was lost for a very long time and I was angry. Actually, hence why I wrote a lot of emo songs for the band. But, I think what gave me some sort of stability was finding my roots. I think people don't know the value of finding your roots, knowing that, it's like the term tanda tumpah airku, daraku, sorry, which means that the land which my blood has spilled, as gory as that sounds, but it means that I really felt that, I like the dirt here, the soil literally flows through my veins, and I think that's what people need to do more of, which is discover more about our history, preserve it, no matter how insignificant they feel it is compared to modern things. Because when you're lost and you feel lost in this world, and everybody goes through that point, the one thing that will bring you back to baseline is your history, your traditions, your cultures, reminding you, you may think you're this, but this is who you really are.
Oh, that's the story of the Thai market girl and...
Oh my God!
Oh wow!
Yeah.
What a perfect segue.
Okay, so Thai market girl. I did not. That wasn't planned at all. Okay. So Thai market girl. What did you have to get? Do any method, acting, or research just to?
Yeah, we had to dress up in that awful thing that the sarong pulled up in the middle, and in order to make us look dirty and sweaty, they will always spray us with water to make it look like we're sweating.
Oh.
Yeah. So every day they'll come around, or some other time, they'll.
So basically, that's one person's job is to squirt water at people.
So that's why everybody looks so shiny. Oh my God.
And sweaty.
But don't you think that's a bad representation then? Because technically.
Because you're in the market.
Oh, because you're sweat. Oh, okay. I thought they did it on purpose. You're supposed to be a market girl. It's
No. For the Nonya scene, they will come and dab your sweat.
So the accuracy of the scene historically, was it pretty good?
I wouldn't know because I was only a small part.
Yeah.
And then again, there's a lot of Tagore on Little Nonya, Sensei Nonya, whatever Nonya film. And there will be people who are saying that, this is wrong, the baju is wrong, and I myself experienced it. So they asked me, how do you do the wedding chiao tao? That means the ceremony before the wedding where the girl tesseracts to become a matured woman, a wife, a mother of somebody's daughter-in-law. That means where they will do the hair combing, pluck the eyebrows and all that. So I said, oh, you get a niru, and sometimes they paint it red in the middle, and then you put the rice bucket there, and the ceremony is done there. So when you are not very detailed and you think that the other person understands, so in the movie they actually film the niru, they put it on the table instead on the floor.
Oh.
And they put a rice bucket. And I don't know how they set the girl on top of the rice bucket. So then when I found out, it's like, oh my God, we cannot, this is disaster. And he says, no, we cannot change it because that scene is already passed.
Oh,
it will
no.
cost us too much to redo it. Oh my God. And then like the Nonya dancing. So it was in my mansion. So they hired the girls doing joget. And I said, no, Nonyas don't dance like that. I said, it's okay, we already hired these people. So sometimes it's just beyond our, because you think they understood. But they interpret it so differently. The fact that you didn't forget to tell them it's on the floor, they put it on the table and things like that. So then I know like in Malacca too, the people there, they kena ketuk. Like, why are you doing it wrong and all that? But it's not as we told them.
Well, that's why I think, having people like you, is a very important thing where you're sort of the preservers, the final bastion of culture protection against misrepresentation. Because I think, Eugene, you agree with this. There's a lot of fake news and misappropriation of history or misnaming, and people don't see the effect of it because the effect is like 100 years later. It's down the line where it damages, it muddies up narratives, which creates a lot of opportunities for those with ill intent to twist and narrative. Because for me, I do generally believe, I'm not going to delve too much into it. I do generally believe that a lot of our problem is, especially those within what considered my demographic, is that we have lost what makes us us. I'll leave it at that. But we have been going from different cultural things and we have adopted one that is not ours. And that is the problem. Because we're not legit. And even we are a bit more stricter than some of the people, like some of the Arabs or the Middle Easterners, and stuff like that. But I think that's what I mean. For me, I feel like I'm more comfortable knowing my history. Faith, ideology is whatever it can be. That's a personal choice. But knowing where you come from, it's
right.
You have your principles.
So I was at first a purist. Like kabaya must be worn this way, and a traditionalist. But later, or right now, I'm beginning to understand. If we had been, all the Nonyas had been a purist, they would have stayed wearing a baju panjang. They would not have evolved into the kabaya, the sulam, and the kabaya bandung. And can you imagine a culture that is today, everybody's still wearing baju panjang?
Yeah.
It will be unattractive. It will be dead. So I have now come to accept and open up my circle to, yes, we have to make it relevant for the young people to want to be identified as a Nonya. And that means that some things have to change. Even like, say, the dressing. They don't want to put up their hair. They want their hair down. So,
It's
things
the
like
whole ethos itself that the Baba Nyonya exists because it adapts. Otherwise, they would just be Chinese.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the very definition. It's the absorption, not just Malay culture or whatever. It actually absorbed British culture too. That's why some of them called us the Anglo-Chinese or state Chinese or whatever. The guys can dress in Mandarin costumes, then they can also dress in suits. The term Baba Nyonya itself is quite interesting because the Baba part is from the Persian and Indian languages, father. And then you have Nyonya is purportedly comes from the corruption of Portuguese Nina. So maybe Lilian, you can explain a little bit what are these different terms, Peranakan, Baba Nyonya and all that. Are they the same thing or?
For years, I always thought that Baba Nyonya are Straits Chinese. And I personally do not like to use the term, especially academically, Peranakan, because for us, according to Dr. Lim Chong Kiat, he says that Peranakan was coined in the 1970s. So it was a new word that the Singapore Peranakan Association started to call themselves Peranakan. But in Penang and Malacca, and I think previously in Singapore, everybody will say, Elan Nonya lang. We Baba Nonya people. So Peranakan is a newly coined term that applies to us. So if you look at it this way of subsets, so there's the Baba Nonya, and then they are inside the circle of Straits Chinese. And I just actually, maybe like 5 years back or 3 years back, discovered this in an old storybook that I read by Felix Chan, I think. He actually shows you the difference between Baba Nonya and Straits Chinese. So that's why there's some Chinese, like even Dr. Anwar Fazal. I look at him and said, if you had been Chinese, I would have thought that you are a Straits Chinese or a Baba. The way, or like you, immediately because they are cultured, they are scholarly, they carry themselves in a fine manner, like scholarly gentlemen.
Thank you for the compliment.
and
now I'm blushing. Thank you for the compliment.
And so I was like trying to figure out, at what point did Chung Tai-ping, the son of Chung Keng Kui, the mafia boss.
Oh, right.
So how did he start to look like a Baba? Because he had a bintang and he was riding open top sports car and have a stable of horses and doing all the English things, flying biplanes and all that. So then I realized he may not be a Baba, but he's a Straits Chinese. So they were Penang, Malacca, and Dindings. That's why he was from Perak. And Singapore were under the Straits settlements. So they were Anglophiles. And they adopted those things that comes with being a port city. So there's a Baba Nonya, and then there's the Straits Chinese. And I've seen so many young, elderly men who dress up well and, not expensive, but their clothes are ironed well and all that. And I said, hey, you must be a Baba. And he tells me, no. Then I was like, why do I get the vibe that he's a Baba? So actually, he was a Straits Chinese that I recognized. So you are a Straits Malay. And Dr. Anwar Fazal, I would label him as a Straits Malay. He has everything that seems like a Straits Malay. And so then, English manners and all that.
Although he doesn't identify as that. He specifically has his own explanation.
He's like mix of like two powerful. Like he has the gelato element, and then he has the
Peranakan. So Peranakan is the wider one where there's Peranakan Jawi and Cheti and the others, So that's the biggest set. So if you want to be like more down to the definition, it would be Baba Nonya for us.
Just for people who don't get some of the names, Dato Sri Lim Chong Ket is a architect, botanist, and founder of the Penang Heritage Trust. Komta is one of his creations. And speaking of Heritage Trust, you are a council member, right?
Yeah.
Just to know more about you, how many organizations are you involved in?
I think select. Like, of course, I'm with the museum, then I'm with the Persatuan Peranakan Baba Nonya Pulau Pinang. I'm deputy president of the State Chinese Penang Association, which is originally the British Straits Chinese Association, 1920. And council member of Penang Heritage Trust, then my school alumni, and formerly the patron of the Art Society, which is affiliated to London. Yeah.
How could I forget?
I also got another confession to make. I was for a very brief time the youth chairman of the State Chinese Association.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you should come back.
So my landlord and friend, the late Dato Sri Kuketsu. Yes. He's the reason I exist, because he matchmade my parents. So he wrote me in one day. I don't know what's going on. It's like, all I ever did was write one article. I'm sorry, I did a terrible job.
Well, we all have to start from somewhere, my friend. But look how you've grown.
So we're all linked. Peranakan.
See, one thing I love about this podcast, I'm discovering more and more about Eugene.
No, we discover ourselves. It's not about Eugene. Everybody discovers ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even know how to introduce the person. We generally get people who do many things like you.
Yeah, and that's why we did it this way as a conversation, because I know more about you and you know more about me.
I mean, if you say in the formal way, it gets really boring. Like, this is done, this, blah, blah, blah. We let the people talk about it.
And like earlier you mentioned about when you came back from US and who you are. I was once asked this question, actually this year, and the person said, how do you go about I don't like to say that my work is promoting the culture, because actually I don't promote the culture. I'm just having a party.
You're living the culture. You're living it. That's the
Maybe
living
that's why
legacy.
it feels more meaningful.
Actually, that's what the UNESCO is about. It's a living legacy.
It's not
an act. It's for real.
Yeah.
It's not like, I got to do this, I got to do this. Like, so sometimes people come to me and say, Lilian, I want to interview you, for National Geographic. Then I said, okay. But then I said, hey, if you come and see this mansion and then me, that's what you get only. Why don't I bring in the dancers? Why? Then, like for National Geographic with Dr. Julian, I said, if you can wait, you can even hold back your production till December. He came to me in like December. I said to February, we have our Dondang Sayang. And then I wrote a storyline for him. So it came out in Search of the Straits Born. For Pinang, it was not just like, going to the tombs or cooking and all that. It was a storyline. So the storyline goes that he came to my museum and I showed him everything. And we already put a girl in the room. The aunties, the busybody aunties are dressing her up. And then he passed by and said, hey, so what are you all doing? Oh, we're dressing up for Cap Gomeh, Dondang Sayang. Then we said, oh, but you got shoes to finish because the matchmaker will come the other day, after, because Dondang Sayang night is usually a Valentine's night where the young men will view the women, the girls that the families brought up because they were cloistered. So finish your show, in case the matchmaker comes. So she do some kasut manet for him. Then okay, so we took them to the Dondang Sayang starting place, and we got the chief minister to throw Tim Kam Tam Ho Ang. That's a strange thing.
Throw orange.
I don't know why every year they make the chief minister Tim Kam Tan Ho Ang.
It's not like it's got his number there.
It literally means throw orange, get good husband.
And our chief ministers have been doing that every year. They make him do that. I make him do that.
Oh, the implications.
So anyway, so they got all this film. So it could be just me and talking to them, but for me, it's like I want a complete picture. I want a complete experience for them, that they know, oh, this is our koi, and things like that. Not just like, so I was given a grant during COVID to do on how do you continue a culture in a time of COVID. And I scratched my head. I mean, there are people who really did a good job, but it's Mama Mafia, amateur. So, okay, I try to go around it, but sometimes you want to write an essay, you goreng a bit, other stories.
Yeah.
Like when I was a tour guide, my exam was Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu's Expressway. My God, right and left, I got nothing to say. Then you talk about coconut tree, then you talk about the island, then you talk about Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu, So I did a show on like, okay, now we cannot have our annual Peranakan convention. So we have it on through the computer, and you can order food in, pengat, cap gomeh or whatever. And then you're eating here and people are just dancing and doing everything. Malacca will be doing the thing, Singapore will be doing thing, Penang your thing, and then we just enjoy it. Then I said, to fill up the time, I said, then we will have a readaptation of what it used to be like Dondang Sayang before COVID. So I got this story of, they're going for Dondang Sayang. And this days, like I said, it was a time for matchmaking. So you send a girl out. So sometimes it's a esplanade. But this time, COVID time, we're not allowed to just jalan-jalan and be caught. So we went to Botanical Gardens. And there's a river. So the girl will timkam and wished for a good husband. And the monkeys came for the calm. So we had to hide the calm. And then the girl was like, monkeys!
Because they see the oranges. Oh,
and then,
no.
So she took a walk and she was playing catching imaginary butterfly, and her handkerchief dropped down. And because we call her girl, come, she forgot about her handkerchief. So these two young men with their father was walking. The father said, "It's about time you get married." And I've actually told the elder son, "I've actually found a girl for you." Then the son said, "Okay." Then the younger brother was falling behind. Then the younger brother saw this girl and saw her handkerchief. So he picked it up and put it in his pocket. Then they said, "Okay, we're going to Ama's house or Auntie Gek Lian's house for chap gome." So that father with the two boys came, and the girl was there. And so she brought out kueh, and she started serving kueh. Now the elder brother was telling the father, "Yes, Dad, I think I like the girl. I will get married to her." And the father said, "Good, son, good, good." That was Clement Liang. Good. And then
Clement Liang is the president of the Tourist Association.
and the Penang Heritage Trust.
Oh yeah, congratulations to Clement.
Recently.
Yeah, recently. Well, I heard about that.
Last week, yeah. And so then the girl was serving kueh to the elder brother and younger brother. And then they had a wrong gang. And the elder brother is very proper. But the younger brother said, "Hey, come, dance." And then she was like,
it's always the younger brother.
and so she danced with him. And then after the wrong gang, the boy went to the father and said, "Dad, I have something to tell you. I wish to get married. I found a girl." It was the same girl. Because he didn't know that the brother has been matchmade to this girl. So now two brothers are in love with this
Oh
girl.
no.
And then
Drama.
and it ended with the guy they were doing wrong gang, and he suddenly took out her handkerchief and threw at her. And very good, no? This girl naturally caught the handkerchief, gave him a juling, and walked away. And he smiled and he followed after her.
Chill.
So now, which brother is going to get this girl? So that was my the grants that I did for COVID.
I see.
No, I love it because I remember I was part of one of, I think it was a collaborate. I can't remember who it was. So the Prang Mansion collaborated with someone, and I was part of the Wrong Gang. And the idea was like you had these spirits of the Baba Nyonyas dancing through the hallways. So I thought that was really, really interesting way of. I mean, the modern dance part, I was like kind of, but then again, who am I to judge? You know, I mean, like, you know, but I thought the Peranakan Baba Nyonya aspect of it was more apt to the mansion because you give a sense of recreating the scene without being pretentious and making it entertaining and
That
different.
was a collaboration between our Baba Nyonya Association, Pinang Peranakan Mansion, and an Australian choreographer.
Oh, right.
To celebrate the 50th anniversary of Penang, Georgetown, Adelaide, sister cities.
Now I remember. Yeah. Yeah, the modern dance sort of, because for me, I'll be honest, I've never really understood the contemporary art. You know, because it's weird. It's like
Don't look at me, I don't dance.
I know. I mean, like, no, I kind of figured. Yeah, we should. Hey, we want a wrong angle. You know, it's really good for the bubba. So, but the thing is, I'm saying this because I know I'm not equipped to maybe appreciate it. And I guess in the context of things, they've made really scary ghosts and stuff like that. But I think because it's my cup of tea, you know, the cultural aspect was what I've really generally enjoyed, you know, making the place come alive with people dressed in kabaya. And I had to learn that, you know, not all the kabayas that I had in my closet were proper kabayas. Thank you, Peter, for lending me your baju batik.
Yes, I remember. He made you change.
You made me change. Because I was wearing a specific, like, very modern batik, you know. And for me, I was like, I thought it was cool, you know. I was like, I'm like modern, right?
I like that one, the Nala one.
Yeah, well, I do want to mention names because I didn't want to demean anybody because I do love the design of the fabric was what I was attracted to. But Peter was saying that, okay, first of all, you stick out, you know, because everybody's wearing traditional stuff, and he lent me his father's batik, and it was the most beautiful batik shirt I've ever seen, with the most intricate designs that I've never experienced before. And I think it's those kinds of things that I've learned along the way where, you know, just because I want to be modern, I shouldn't close my heart to the past because it was really beautiful.
Mo, you remember earlier you said about Lilian being the only people promoting Peranakan culture, right? You gotta rewind a little bit because because I believe that's Baba Michael Chia is been doing it a way long time. Is he one of your influences?
And a lot of other people that say sometimes at Penang Heritage Trust they want the best, maybe the koi maker or the kasut mane. I will always tell them, find people who are not exposed yet, who are doing it, but no one knows about it, because we need them to have a sense of like, I'm valuable for keeping the culture, conserving the culture. Yeah.
But also, this is what I mean, because. But then again, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience. I could be very wrong in my experience in seeing how everything works.
What I try to say is that when I think of Baba Nyonya culture, a Nyonya, I see her image.
Oh, right.
When I think of Baba, I think of Michael.
True.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe you're right. I should
They're like
say
a tag
that
team.
she's preserving the Nyonya culture.
Yes.
You're right. I should differentiate and recategorize it.
And actually, I must thank him because he was the one who, like, will say, before I was full-fledged, I was still a fairy godmother, and she was saying, Lilian, I need a model, or I need a bride. Can you lend me your children for the day? Doing these things, and actually got me interested. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was he who introduced me to Pinang Peranakan Mansion. So I have a lot to thank him for. He was like my mentor.
Wow.
He's actually a future guest on the show.
It's good that you let me know now and not embarrass myself when he arrives as a guest. I mean, see, this is what I mean. I'm all this learning.
Yes.
Because for me, I have a very limited perception of the.
Now the burning question: why naughty Nyonya?
Oh my!
And what's this fairy godmother thing? We gotta hear it.
Okay, from fairy godmother to naughty Nyonya. Okay. How did I transform?
So you were the naughty Nyonya
Let's
first?
go back to the...
Fairy godmother first, yeah.
Oh, fairy godmother.
Oh, no, back to the future. Let's go to the naughty Nyonya.
Okay.
So my grandmother used to tell me, the people at the Donang Sang clubs, they play chuki. How can you play with a man? Ladies must play with ladies. So this one, tak seronok. And look lah, Chap Gome, they go around town singing love songs, and the pantuns are very cheeky or bantering with a man in public, going around the streets. This is like a no for Nonyas to say, these are naughty. I mean, she said in the Chinese word lah, these are naughty. They are naughty Nonyas. Like tak seronok, tak tentu, and all that. So 30 years down the road, her granddaughter is playing chuki. Not with men still. Men don't know how to play chuki, I don't know.
I would love to learn.
Okay, recruit.
I'm game, yeah.
And we need to keep it alive.
Yeah.
We can form our little
game nights.
casino. Mama Mafia will be giving the cards.
Monopoly money.
When something has been forgotten, right, and you reintroduce it, nowadays people are wearing 1980s Casio watches like my kids. It's like, those were our regular watches.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
So now here I am, doing the Donang Sayang, going my rounds and in public, singing and dancing. Yeah, so that's how the Naughty Nanya came about. Fairy godmother was because I lived in Hawaii Hawaii is pronounced Hawaii.
From what year to what year?
88 to 91.
Because he was there, that's why his look.
Yeah, I was there from 87 to 88.
How come this Hawaii topic is
Where
not
were you
coming
when I
every
was doing my
episode?
hula class?
I was most likely a baby.
What's this with island people going to other
Josh was a
islands?
baby. Josh was a baby.
Oh my God.
He was 4 months old when we brought him to Hawaii.
So I was born
That's
in New
right,
York.
right, baby.
I grew up in Hawaii. I went there when I was about 3 or 4.
This is like the third time it has come up, Hawaii,
So weird.
This Pulau Pinang people go to other pulau.
Oh, you have to admit.
Yeah.
You have to go. You have to travel far to realize.
Island hopping.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So my husband was a matured student.
Yeah.
And so in my free time, I will go to the University of Hawaii.
Oh my God, my mom actually went there to study too. Okay.
Yeah, and so because I was doing early childhood education, so I went in and volunteered my time, and I took up. I was in the Puppeteers Guild and Storytellers Association, and so every Friday nights, I'll carry my baby, and we will go and practice our stories or puppets, and so. Later, they have this Rainbow Arts Festival every year in at my time. I don't know whether they still have it now. So then they said, okay, you go and tell stories. So like 3 stories for US, I think $5. Yeah. So they come into this like balloon place. It's a crap. I remember it's a crap. And I tell stories. So I make the money for some charity. And so when I came back, my kids were growing up. So actually I grew with my kids. So when they become band kids, I was a band mom. So when they grew up, for my parties, I will already have brought in all the American paper plates and all that. So they were always themed like blue fairy. So all my food were blue. And then all the kids left the party with their lips all turned blue. And the mothers were saying, I will never send my kids to your party. You're giving them all the, turning blue. And I will have like a Star Wars party.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's
a cake
cool mom.
with the Star Wars toys on top. And then layered with a blue cloth underneath. I had all the sparkling lights to look like the universe. Yeah. So, and I could get all the stuff from US. And then I will have puppet shows. So then my friends keep asking me like, oh, can you do the puppet thing and help me plan the party and for my kids' birthday? So then I said, okay, I will start a business, unregistered business. And my 2 kids will be my cheap labor or free labor. So I trained them to do the puppetry. We recorded the song and the music and the story. And we did puppetry. And the good thing is that because I was in Hawaii, I had a lot of award-winning books that people in Malaysia have not been able to reach. So I told stories from this Caldecott Award winning books, And so it was a flourishing trade. I dress up in a ball gown with a white hair wig and a wand and wings, and I'll go to the party. And I remember Dr. Noel's daughter. I went to a birthday party once and I say, I'm your fairy godmother. Tell me what you wish and it shall be granted. And she will tell me and I'll tell her mom.
Oh, wow.
So she knows that this fairy godmother is
Oh, real.
So then, at the next party, again, I walk up to the birthday boy and say, I'm your fairy godmother. And here is his daughter throwing a tantrum and say, no, she's my fairy godmother. She's my fairy godmother.
So you were actual fairy godmother in costume to different children.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, of all places.
No. Back here.
Oh, back here, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, that is interesting.
So I did that when my children, until my kids grew up. Then I turned into band manager.
That could explain why Josh was really talented in the arts and stuff like that. Because we went through many different drummers, and he had this almost borderline genius way of coming up with insane drum beats in segments. Because I wasn't a very good songwriter, but Joshua, you're gonna know now. He made my song sound amazing, just because we followed his timing. Because the drummer is always the drummer is actually the leader of the band in musically.
Keeps
the time. So the way he kept the pacing of the thing changed the way I played the chords, changed the way I sing, made it better, punchier, more in line with what I had in mind that I couldn't really iron out with my previous drummers. So I could see now that like this exposure earlier on led to his creative genius and stuff like that. So Joshua, you're a genius, man.
So Lilian, you went to St. George's, right?
Yes.
Were there a lot of other nonyas there?
Back in those days, it was like you just think of yourself as Chinese because when you take Malay, Chinese, Indian, and I just knew that I was different because when the Chinese girls, when they talk, they will say Cenggu,
yes,
and I say Lesung, and they will say Chiao, and I say Paga. So and then I was thinking, Malay is so easy. Bahasa Malaysia is so easy for me. So many of the words I know. But for the other girls, it's like, a new word, you know?
Yes. Timbun
All these little things,
Yeah.
Then after St. George's, where did you go?
And after St. George's, You know, when you're in school, you have this thing that you say, when I grow up, what do I want to be?
The original Facebook.
The first, every year you have to
Yes.
write for your school.
Yes.
Number one, I want to be a Broadway dancer. Sequins, feathers, da-da-da, da-da.
I think check.
Well, well, do you feel you've achieved that dream? I kind of feel that you do. You know,
No, yesterday when I went to this Georgetown Festival, the Jingu Opera,
Oh, right.
then I told my sister, you know, if I haven't had the dream of going to the West to be a Broadway dancer, I would have been an opera dancer. Yeah, throw your sleeves.
Was that the only
and the
dream, or there are a few
cry.
more?
Yeah, and then the second one was a housewife. So I fulfilled my dream at the age of 22. And now I always wondered, how did my parents allow me to get married at 22?
I would like to think it was a different time, wasn't it? Right, like back in the day.
No, not so young. I think that's, I don't know, it's like crazy. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm only saying because my parents got
And
married
so-
at 19. So
why I like to be a housewife, because I like to do up my house, Christmas trees and lay out the table, entertaining at home. Those days it's just, you know, your mind is not so wide. It's just entertaining at home. Not like today. Crazy rich Peranakans.
Your
Theme
mind is
parties.
very wide. Look at the amount of
yeah,
topics.
that's right.
We haven't even reached the part which we're going to reach now is Lilian, the author. She's so well prepared with this flight case or whatever.
yeah, she even asked us like, how do we arrange the cameras before the podcast?
She's definitely a
Cantik,
pro.
cantik
She's definitely a
lah.
pro. So how many books are you at now?
I am now one,
that
two,
five?
3, 4, 5. I've got my 6th book, all the text ready, waiting for funding. And the 7th one waiting for me to sign. But it's getting hard because it uses a lot of, you know, on the computer writing and all that. But anyway, my first book was, of course, on jewelry because my daughter is named Jewel.
Which one is it?
Yeah, here. And we actually then document all the jewelry that was in the Peranakan Mansion and loaned by others, some. And what I love about writing books is that the process, not when you're nearing the publishing thing where you got to proofread
the
it
deadline.
35 times and still find mistakes, you know.
Yes, yes.
So when I'm researching, then I will go into, you know, so for this book, I put it against British jewelry, everything, Indian, Chinese, Nusantara, Indonesian, everything, Burmese, and piece them together and see how they work. So then there's a lot of things I found out, like, you see, we're Nonias and we're Chinese, but look at our jewelry, very Victorian. And yet, that's the wonder of Penang. We are a port city. So they took, like my mom, they took the British catalogs of this Victorian jewelry and they take it to Little India. The Ceylonese, the Sinhalis.
Yes, yes.
And they are the best craftsmen. Today, they're still doing for Dubai.
Yes.
So you go to Dubai buying Penang goods. So, and they let them make copies. Yeah. So then, and then for years, even Michael Chia told me, like the bintang, the men will wear the bintang. And they said, oh, that's because we were in Malaya. And so, you know, the star is an Islamic star. So that's why they wore a bintang. Well, in my research, I like to be the first one to say this, or find this out, is that Halley's Comet made an appearance. And of course, everyone in Europe was in a frenzy over this, like a phenomena. And then they started crafting bintangs.
Oh, wow.
Star brooches or sunbursts. And Princess Alexandra, that was her favorite piece of jewelry. And so it became very known. Or the other theory could be that the Babas are so Anglophile. They saw all the Sir and the Dukes and the Knights wearing this sash with all the, you know, the Dato Seri bintang and all that.
Yes.
And they couldn't quite make it. So then they also wanted the bintang. So, but I think it's definitely it's the comet. And that's how it landed on the Baba's lapel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the research is interesting, and some because these books are published by Pinang Peranakan Mansion, sometimes my boss don't understand. Like when I am writing on my book that's going to be out, Epons and European glass. So you know you have like 200 pieces of glass that has got this wavy design. Everyone you cannot say wave. So I have to Google what is a wave, different types of wave, or different types of pleats, because they are also called pleats. So the different pleats, like whether it's this wavy pleat or one atop another that goes this way. And he will come in and watch me on my computer looking at pleats. And he says, I am paying you to write a book, and you are playing on the computer looking at sewing things.
Oh my.
Because they don't know that I have to search what is the name of, how do I call 200 things I cannot be calling them for the entire book. And then curly cues, or this image of little dots. Then I find that it's called Wayne, I forgot, Wayne something. So I had to Google it. Oh, it came from this kind of a breed of chicken that has got these dots. And he comes in and look at me looking at chickens on the screen. Like, you're supposed to be writing on Epens, and now you're looking at farm animals.
That must have been really weird for him. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So the owner of the museum, is it a relation of the original owner?
No.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe we'll move on to another topic. So we were at Joe.
Actually, that's one topic I think what be interesting, because we like to feature people's work. So it's like, how many people does it take to run a museum, the behind the scenes?
You wouldn't believe it, but at the place I work, there was only the boss and the accountant, or the one who manages all the finance, one IT guy who does a lot of many other things, and me.
So it's a small team.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the people collecting money and sticking, and then the tour guides and all that. And at night when it closes, the people, that's why whenever you go into the mansion, it's always very clean and pristine, because at night everybody goes on cleaning mode.
Wow.
Yeah, they clean the place. Yeah, so it's always very nice. So these are the very precious people who the museum wouldn't have functioned without them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's folks how the work involves to keep everything spick and span.
And the fact that it's a small team.
And think about it, back then it was somebody's house. Can you imagine the amount of housekeeping? That's why they have all those.
Well, see, that's why I was saying earlier, you know what I mean? Like, we cannot decrease the value that the women had provided to the household, because we're not talking about a small space. We're talking about mansion.
Yeah.
With different, I got lost there the first time I got it.
That's why sometimes I feel I need to clone myself, because I really need an assistant. But having said that, I am, of course, at my age looking into a succession plan. So I want to find a successor. And I have been looking, and I have not found one. Then I came to the realization, there will be I probably cannot find someone who is like me. I have the luxury of being in a mansion, in a museum, and experiencing and learning everything. So people are still at their jobs and all that. They unfortunately are not like me, so fortunate to work there. So then, I now realize my succession plan has to change. And that means May is good at Kasut Manet. Joanne is good at the Penang Aksalatsa. And somebody else is good at Sulam, which I can do, because my auntie is the Toko Adi Guru, Lim Swee Kim, my husband's auntie. So actually I learned from her when I was 16 years old. 16 years old. After my 16, how old was I? 15. After my LCE exams, so I went in every day.
Which was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I find that there are different girls who are good at different things. And so then actually I have
so you have a trust of people with those skills instead of one person.
Yeah, because they don't have the luxury that I have to work in a museum and devote myself to all the hobby and things that I enjoy. Yeah.
That's actually quite genius, because that means you're creating a community.
And I need also now to find someone who can speak, because the new generation, they are sometimes Chinese educated.
Right.
So they cannot explain or speak well in English. So now I'm just finding that person who can speak well in English.
If you are the future Lilian Tong out there and you're listening, you know what to do.
It's about preserving history.
Which is the same with my dancers. Like Ronggeng Rhapsody. All of you are younger than me. I'm trying to raise new people up.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
like my dancers, I've got two other groups. So there's Ronggeng Rhapsody, there's the Sayang Nonya dancers, and there's the Bunga dan Bintang, which is newly founded, like maybe 4 years old. And all of them are younger than me. And all of them, if I've been a guy, I was so good at getting girls. I go to church, I go to botanical gardens, I go to the gym, and when I look at a pretty girl who moves beautifully and has a beautiful, not just beautiful outsider, because the theme has to be nice girls, like, not pushy, not argumentative, not cari pasal. So I find them, or even at the dinner, then I'll go up to this girl, my dancer Joanne. Hey, would you like to join me? And some of them is like, I don't know what she wants me to join, like Mama son before, So then I said, come and look at my practice, come and try. So I've got all these girls, and I'm still looking for more girls.
I guess maybe people misunderstand your intention. It's pure.
I know, some is like, can you give me a number? It's like,
Because, like I said, maybe
I want you to be a dancer.
So you're passing on these skills, right? You also do your own arts and, different kinds of arts, right? Like the maniac. Can you maybe just running out of time, maybe you can explain one or
we
two?
actually do have him here. Maybe we can...
One kasut
kasut.
in the back.
Oh, yeah, we got like...
Is it this one?
Yeah, but it's...
Oh my goodness, she's so
You have a pelican?
No.
No, this one.
Wait, careful, my painting, don't crush it.
Okay.
Yeah. In that bag, in the ducky bag.
Oh, okay.
Wrong one.
No, I just thought you actually brought a pelican briefcase just to preserve. I was like, wow, that is really
Below
hardcore.
the rattan basket, there's a pair of shoes.
This is in the blooper reels. Okay, I see.
Oh, we might even keep it on the podcast. You know how organic we do the
I see.
editing.
Even flowers in
No,
it.
don't bring this up.
Wrong one.
Tak seronok.
That's Rono. Okay.
Okay. Because this is used pair of shoes. So, I
Wow.
Wow.
like to do
Wow.
this. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, the beads are
Put
so
the books
small.
I know. I want to hide because it's used shoes.
Oh, okay. Elegance.
Wow. Well, no judgment.
Yeah.
I'm more looking at the. It's like little pixels.
Some are like small beads, and normally I will teach people start with the bigger beads because then they can finish it faster, and they have this sense of like a finished product rather than they take home a half finished product which they will never continue. So these small beads are a bit tougher, and yeah.
I'm just really surprised because.
So is it done from scratch or it's just the bead part?
So you find the bidangan, which now we don't have, so you just buy a frame from the bookshop and the Ida cloth. And when you start, you have to start counting, You draw the outline and you got to start counting like how many beads up. You start with the eye or the beak, and then you start to do the main pattern first. And then you move on to the background.
Well, they look really small, so you have to thread through it.
Yeah.
That's-
I mean, I can imagine the amount of hours they had to
So
put in just to get that design.
Do the Nonyas you cannot buy this, right? They prefer to make their own.
In Malacca you can buy.
Preserve the knowledge.
No, in the old days,
yes.
that's what people actually spend hours to do it.
Oh no, that's why it's valuable.
Oh, it's
Because
customized.
those days the Nonyas don't play phone, don't have a K-drama and other busyness like me, so they can stay home and it's very therapeutic. Yeah, when you beat the shoes, especially when the pattern comes up, you feel very happy. Oh, I must talk about this book. Once upon a kamching, you know what the meaning of kamching?
Tell us.
Two things. Kamching. So this is a ching jar. Kam, a little jar.
Oh.
It's also a play of words on kanching, kamching, which is so difficult to explain. It's like a bond it's a bond of loyalty, not the love, not the filial love, maybe, and trust between people. It's like when you go to Singapore, when you go to America and you hear somebody speaking Penang Hokkien.
Oh.
You're from Penang.
Kamching di, okay.
And between parent and child, the child can be doing wrong things or like going the wrong way, but you never give up on the person. You go alongside him even though it breaks your heart. And between friends and between a man and a woman. So a good example that I always use is like one time in the Sun newspaper, the reporter went and asked this old lady, "Why are you looking after your sick old husband who was a philanderer, left you, went and enjoyed himself. Now that he is sick and old, he come back to you to look after him. Could it be possibly that you still love him?" And the woman said, "如果愛情冇咗，都有感情. If love is gone, I have still this dutiful obligation because I am his wife. It is my, moral duty to continue to care for him."
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful word.
It is beautiful, and it's hard to. I understand how hard it is to explain.
Your daughter is behind here, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jewel. And so you co-wrote the book, is it?
Yes, because I want her to also be part of it. As in, otherwise she will just leave it to me, and I want her to tell her story.
Is she also into all this heritage, Peranakan?
Well, she was my partner in the Ronggeng thing, remember?
Yeah, right. We're here to learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not so much time because she is working in, like I told you, Kapit, Sarawak, which is that a place with no roads in until like 2 years ago. So there was no, when I visited her, there was only one Kentucky Fried Chicken. I needed to use Wi-Fi, so I went to the Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they have run out of chicken. So I only can get Coke because the boat didn't bring in the chicken. When you go to the bank, there's no money because the boat hasn't come in with the money. And sometimes the petrol station, no petrol.
Oh my gosh.
It's no fried chicken, it's just Kentucky, which is kind of true. There's Coke
the
there.
roads, no names. So it's like, okay, you turn right at that tree, that don't know what tree, you turn left, and
No, I find it funny that like no chicken, no nothing else, but what you have is Coke.
If you don't mind, what is she doing there?
she's a dentist.
Dentist.
And so she's the one that I told you about.
I
That
see.
during COVID, they will go in
I see.
and in the hazmat suits. So those people have no Wi-Fi. It's like under a certain tree, you can get Wi-Fi. So they don't have Wi-Fi. So they probably don't know what is happening in the world. But the government have found that one person have got COVID. By the time they go in, already the whole longhouse have got COVID.
Oh, no.
So they go in a hazmat suit. So remember all this nene, all that don't know the news that the whole world is shut down.
Yeah.
And when they saw these people coming in like moon suits, with their mobile clinics,
Aliens.
they got frightened. The men all fled into the jungles. And she says, "Mom, you wouldn't believe it. They left their wives and their children at our mercy."
This is like the invasions of Martians or something.
All the men ran away. And the clinic was just under a tree on a plastic chair. And when you tell them you are going to swap them, so they might flinch, And when they flinch, of course, they hurt themselves. And they will take the plastic chair and hit the doctor.
Oh God.
So, yeah, very interesting stories.
Wow.
When do you come up with the ideas for these books? You already had them in mind.
Okay, jewelry was my love. Then beadwork and embroidery because Pinang Peranakan Mansion asked me to write on it. Then during COVID time, I was sitting at home and I didn't want to waste 2 years of my life. So I collected 13 stories, an anthology from different people. Yeah. And then this one was a grant by Georgetown World Heritage to produce a nice souvenir for Penang. And then by fluke, one 7th moon, because my friends tell me, must be Chen Ken Kui's ghost. Where is Sia? Come and find you. I was doing a talk in Taiping, and so I said, I don't do Baba Nonya. Let me do Pinang Peranakan Mansion, Chen Ken Kui. And then I found that it was his 20th anniversary from the time he was born, or circa. And so I did a Penang Taiping thing like one whole month of December. And so we came up with this book, Kapitan China Chen Ken Kui. So everybody tells me that now Chen Ken Kui is smiling at me because after 200 years, I made him well known again.
And he's not,
You're literally preserving the history.
he's just a few hundred meters that way.
So when Singapore asked me to do a talk on Chen Ken Kui again, I entitled it The Kapitan China and the Nonya. A love affair that spans 200 years.
Forgive me for my ignorance. Was he married?
We never met.
Oh. I thought like there was some
He has
Romeo,
multiples.
Julie. Oh.
4 wives.
Yes. For those who, fun fact: we are now at Fettes Park. His grave is massive. It's just a few hundred meters away in some random taman.
Oh, I've been
Yes,
there.
yes,
It's
yes.
huge.
And,
It's
and
huge.
apparently, according to Clement Liang, it's probably the largest grave, in whole of Southeast Asia.
Yeah. No, I actually went in because we did a tour there and we saw it all. It's one very intricate. You can feel his wealth, and he had these
Statues,
the statues as well, and those were very intricate as well. Like you can tell it was
I
artisanally
don't know whether
made.
he's entitled to the statues because he's actually, of course, a Mandarin of the second rank. But it could be also like, who cares with China? You won't get beheaded if you try to put the generals in your grave. Because it's only meant for royalty.
I mean, they're not gonna
wouldn't
sail.
know,
They're not gonna sail all the way,
Yeah.
And plus, I think if it wasn't for the Straits Chinese in Penang, Sun Yat-sen wouldn't have been able to change the face
So
of
let's
China.
get to the biggest one. This is big. Embroidery and beadwork.
Yeah, so this is on our. And again, when I researched this, I realized a robe, you just see a bride wearing a robe. But when you understand the motives that is on her robe, what is her wish? If I'm the bride, I would have orchids. Scholarly gentleman, noble, and phoenix, beauty and honor, and chrysanthemum is riches, so it's not that I like it.
Actually,
Yeah.
because you mentioned Phoenix, right? It just in my head, right? I once heard, I think it was Kelvin Young from Straits and Oriental. I could be wrong, Kelvin. If it's not you, I'm sorry. He mentioned that the Phoenix was because the Baba Nyonya Peranakan culture is very matriarchal, mother to daughter, hence was a phoenix, as opposed to the Mandarin robes, which were like dragons.
I have my own theory, and my own theory.
Oh, no, that's why I brought it up.
Number one is that we were in Nanyang. Nanyang is a southern quadrant, which I researched and found this. That's how, that's the wonderful thing about writing book. Your knowledge expands. So Nanyang was a southern quarter. So for the Chinese, the southern is phoenix, the east is the west is dragon, the east is tiger, the north is, I think, a tortoise. So we are Nanyang, southern quarter. So the phoenix. Secondly, it was during the reign of Empress Susie, and she, being a woman, a female empress, may not want to use the dragon so much as the phoenix.
Oh.
And then third was those plates were given to the daughters for their, the Nyonya plates, for their, part of their dowry, And so, for her to start her new family. So all the phoenix. And of course, phoenix is beauty and honor. So then it represents women. Yeah.
Are all these books available at the Peranakan Mansion?
Only at the Peranakan Mansion.
Only exclusive. Yeah.
Which you have to visit there if you haven't been.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
And you've got a long list of things you do. You also do paintings, right?
Yeah, especially I love COVID time because it was forced to stay home, which now I always think that, okay, if my life is during COVID time, that's the best, I can cook for my family, I lay out nice table, and I paint, I do calligraphy, I learn musical instruments, guzheng, and piano, and gamelan. Okay, so the paintings.
I've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So my first one, of course, when I started, I was like, okay, we'll do a real typical Baba Nyonya thing.
Oh my God, these are
And so I did
amazing.
this. So it's again the phoenix and peony, but actually the phoenix here is a male phoenix because it's got three long tails.
Oh.
So people think that it's female, but actually it's
a
male.
male.
Yeah, and the phoenix represents the flower. So the phoenix is coming to the flower, like a bee coming to a flower. Yeah. Then
Let me help you hold it. This is really
I
amazing
got
work.
something that I really like. That is Empress Susie. Her favorite was Mysterious, and this I don't know, it's a magpie or what. I know the bird, but I've forgotten which bird it is. And so I painted this. So she commissioned this for her 60th grand birthday. And as I was approaching my 60th, then I thought, of course I don't want to be Empress Susie, but she had this grand thing. So I started painting Wisterias and the birds. And then now I'm at the age where I want to be a grandmother.
Joshua, you gotta catch up. Come on, come on.
Yeah, come on, Josh. And so this painting is about the favorite Chinese theme of having a lots of offspring and children.
Wow.
Yeah, so this tree comes in a set.
I see.
I mean, I got them in smaller sizes.
Now, the thing is, you're very intricate. Like the lines are so fine. I mean, throughout the whole thing, and there's just so much detail. And you were so humble about your, because I didn't
Are
see
these
it before.
classical motifs or?
Classical. I followed from the
I
real
see.
photograph because
I see.
this one I saw at one lady. I forgot her name. She's Mrs. Saw from Singapore. She has a collection of this one.
Wow.
Yeah, like so priceless and rare. So I took a photograph.
So the original one, is it just a painting or do they pop up the texture?
No, it's but then you see, Chinese Baba Nonya were from Qingdechen. The Nonyas wanted the what the Emperor of China have, but they cannot quite afford it. So they went to the same Qingdechen, but got second grade. So all Nonya porcelains are second grade.
You see the theme here: knock off jewelry, knock off ceramics.
We had everything. Right? We were the ones that told me, right?
We
were
want everything.
Yeah.
More. That's why it's like very baroque. Yeah.
The correct word is more cost effective.
Oh, sorry, more cost effective.
Yes.
See, that's why I tell people, right? Penangites, we're not.
Kiam siap, that's the word.
No, we're not. We're frugal. There's a difference. We're not cheap.
Thrifty.
We're thrifty. Thank you. We buy things if it has value. But yeah, but seriously, thank you for coming on to the podcast. I really enjoyed this, and I don't know. Although this podcast had some of the most mishaps and bloopers and stuff like that, it felt very organic. And your vibe.
This is the part where we let the guests,
I forgot.
Want to tell the public
Thank you.
anything, announcements like. Okay, we already did that. Joshua is in trouble.
I mean, that's not the last word. So basically, we let the guests have the last word to close.
What you want to share?
This month, I was asked a question, which I've been asked before, and it never occurred to me. Miss Dato Lilian Tong, are you working to preserve your cultural heritage? Then I thought, what do I do to preserve it? Then I asked the person back, so what is worth preserving? Is it our tangible cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage, or the people we are? Because the fact that the Baba Nonyas until today is like having recognition and bloom through the centuries is because of the people they are. Can you imagine the first Chinaman who stepped off the land to go on board a ship? He never know where he's going to, even if he will even reach his destination. And what does it take in a man to go on a boat? That courage, that sense of adventure, pokmang, and the sense of, I want something better for my future. And then, when arriving in a land where there's no Google Translate, and like this morning, I want to tell the roti man, who's, I think, fresh from India, I want my bread crispy, I got to Google Translate. Because I said, goreng until crispy, he don't understand. So, no Google Translate. Can you imagine, like me, a Nonya, going to China, everything is in Chinese. I don't know who to ask, what to do, where to go, without my phone. So that was what they faced. And then they come and eat food. You cannot want to long for your char kway teow already. It's Malayan food. And then they married women of the Nusantara. And then they were visionaries. I've seen so many families, even the Sincats, who, from my friends, when she first, her father and mother came here, they live in Bukit Bintang, she told me. They only eat a bowl of rice with tau yu, and for Chinese New Year, they get one egg and fried garlic on top of it. And today, she's a lawyer. Her husband is IT. Her children are now in America doing AI, St. Xavier's Boys, doing AI and in Facebook, Google, and this sort of things. So within 3 generations, they got up to be above. So that is what we want to preserve. If you can preserve that, you can preserve the whole Baba Nonya culture. So do away with the Tagore and the fighting and the whatever, infighting among Baba Nonyas. But to be that magnanimous, that love for history. And sometimes I've been told, like, why are you asking our members to go to art galleries or a book talk or an opera? But what did the earlier Baba Nonyas do? That's what they did to become
They
Anglophile.
embrace the world.
Yeah, and the good things. So let us embrace the good things. That is even this generation, and do away the bad. And one of the good things that I love about Malay culture is when I see my daughter's friends, when they come down from the motorbike at school, they will salam their father and they will kiss his hand. Oh, I wish I could practice that more.
Well, technically, I should be doing it to you. You're the elder, so.
And it's such a beautiful culture. Every morning you kiss your father's hand for him for bringing you to school. This thing. So, preserving what? So you ask yourself, what do you want to preserve and conserve?
Wow. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And I hope this had been a learning experience for everybody as well. I think I grew a little bit myself internally and culturally.
Thank you so much. And that has been another episode of People of Penang.